Are you tired of the endless stream of fantasy marketing and vanity metrics? Yeah, so am I. My name is James Patrick, and I'm an internationally published photographer, media specialist, and marketing strategist. I'm also a student of professional development, and like you, I've been left frustrated by all of this influencer-driven generic advice, making us think that we are just one course, conference, or manifestation away from the life of our dreams. We need to cut through this crap and move beyond the posturing, beyond the facade, beyond the image to take real action on the real work that will create the real results. This is the Beyond the Image podcast. What is going on? Thank you so much for tuning in to our live edition of the Beyond the Image podcast, where we can answer your questions right here live. So wherever you're tuning in from, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, etc., you can type your questions or comments in, and we can guide you through whatever it is that you might be navigating or trying to work through or trying to figure out. This is our first live since we've had some really, really big news, and that's we just relaunched the brand new, completely redesigned, completely rebranded Icon Refined magazine. This is something that was over 4 months in production, and to give the backstory of it, we had created a digital network back in 2020 called Icon Refined, and we wanted to create a print spin-off of the digital network. And we originally had branded it Icon Fit, with the idea that there'd be an additional emphasis on health and wellness. After 6 issues of running Icon Fit magazine, we decided that we needed to homogenize the brands together a little more. And thus we essentially deleted all of our templates, our designs, our branding guides, and we started from scratch, and we built up this magazine completely from a blank page. We brought on a brand new editor, Chelsea Clark, to oversee the rebrand and oversee the launch of the publication. And the idea behind the brand and why we're so excited about it was we want to not just create another business magazine, because there's plenty of business magazines, and we didn't want to create another health and wellness magazine because those exist, and we didn't want to create another society magazine or culture magazine because those also exist in the landscape. We wanted to create a magazine that celebrated the entire 360 lifestyle of the modern entrepreneur. And that meant we had to address 4 pillars of entrepreneurship. The first pillar being their health and wellness. Okay, so health and wellness is still a core facet. It's one of our 4 pillars within Icon Refined. The second was mental acuity, so our mental well-being. So the idea of being mindful, of being present in the work and in the lives, in the work we do or in the lives we lead. The third was the relationships that we work to cultivate. And then the fourth is naturally the business that we are trying to grow. So the publication, the print edition of Icon Refined, hits on those 4 areas: the body, the mind, the relationships, and the business. So in this issue, we have everything from information on marketing strategy, on sales strategy, on copywriting. We have content on developing, like this article I absolutely love, how to leverage Facebook communities and Facebook groups to grow your brand and business. Sarah Frenza wrote that. Jennifer Yamnitz wrote a really good article, if ChatGPT is your new chief marketing officer, and how ChatGPT ranks when it comes to is it really doing the work that says it's doing, like let's say in regards to your SEO. We have our a fashion section, which is a kind of a legacy piece of content from the Icon Fit issues, which was our annual swimwear fashion spread. That is also in this issue. We have some travel pieces. Our cover feature is BB Murr. She's the founder of Cult of Coquette, which is a fantastic vegan shoe line that she started a number of years ago, and it has gone completely viral with several celebrity clients since then. And on the back cover, we profile Ashley Weens, who took a giant leap in how she was investing in her brand and her business, and we really chronicle how that paid off for her. So there's a lot of really great content in this issue. I implore all of our listeners to go check this out. You can go to iconrefined.com and get a copy of the current issue, as well as see some of the recent online features we have, because we have a lot of web exclusive features. So all those details are available at iconrefined.com. Okay, so as we were launching this, and as you know, I mean, this is one of two magazines that I am personally overseeing the production of, this one and Ricochet Magazine, which is our men's interest publication. As I've been running these, because the print publication both launched in January of 2021, and since then, you know, we've received more than a few submissions and pitches, and people expressing interest in being involved with the magazine and writing for the magazine and contributing to the magazine, more often than not being featured within the magazine. And this coalesces to the number of pitches I get for people that want to be on this show, on this podcast, which I get about 1 to 2 a day. And the thing we've noticed, and this also ties into our event Get Published Live, because at Get Published Live, we selected numerous individuals that we wanted to profile and feature on our podcast, on our digital network, and in our print magazines. So what's interesting is individuals signed up for the event because they wanted to land media features. They were selected for media features. And some of them, unfortunately, thought that meant their work was over, that the media outlets were just going to profile them, feature them, and there was no work that they needed to do on their end. And that creates really an inequity of who's doing what for whom. Yes, earned media, getting published, is one of the fastest and most effective ways to amplify your brand awareness, to generate leads for your business, to increase the clout of your brand. But in return, you have to be providing something for the media outlets. You have to provide content or context for them, for their audiences, so that there is a reason, there is a benefit for this media outlet to feature you. So, you know, the simplest way that I can demonstrate is if you're pitching to a media outlet and you say, I would love to be featured in your magazine, and that is all you say, that does nothing for the magazine staff, and certainly nothing for the readers or the listeners of this media outlet. Yes, that'd be great. You'd want to be featured in this, but for what? What are you proposing? What are you trying to offer? What are you trying to get into the magazine that is of interest to the magazine readers, that is of interest to the podcast listeners? When you shift your focus from I want to here's what I'm willing to provide, or here's what would benefit your audience, that shift alone increases the likelihood of your brand, of your product, of your service, of your pitches getting picked up and getting published. It's putting the focus and all the benefit towards the audience. I want to be in your magazine falls flat. I want to be in your magazine to share this topic, and here's why it's important to your audience. That's a lot different. That's I want to provide content. And as journalist, and I'm a journalist, I'm a journalist not just because my degree's in journalism, but because I produce content. So I'm a content creator. As a content creator, as a journalist, I have to create and I have to distribute content that my audience wants to consume. And it goes from a digital or a print publication, to our digital network, to our podcast, to the content I put out on my Instagram. If I'm not creating content that people want to see, or if I'm creating content that people do not want to see, I lose the attention of my audience. That's why it does not behoove me to pick people to be on my show who don't have a topic that is of interest or worthy for my audience, that my audience would care about. Because once I lose my audience, it's really hard to get them back. It's very difficult to bring your audience back into your ecosystem if you've really touted and promoted someone that doesn't really serve them or doesn't help them. If I put out a magazine and no one likes any of the content cover to cover in that magazine, are they going to pick up another magazine? Not likely. Not likely. They're going to go somewhere where they can get the information that they want. So you, by pitching to media outlets, have to honor that you yourself also are in the content business. What is the content that you are trying to position in front of a media outlet, and why does it matter to that media outlet? And by proxy, that media outlet's audience. Why does it matter to them? I want to be featured in your magazine. Okay, about what? So with that, you got to know the context of the media outlet. I had someone pitch to be on my podcast just yesterday, and they said, I know you're a photographer. I want to speak to the photography industry about a specific topic. And I respond, says, well, yeah, you did your research. I'm a photographer, but my audience of my show is not necessarily photographers. Overwhelmingly, like, we do have creative professionals that listen to the show, but overwhelmingly the audience is entrepreneurial, or, with a lot in the health and wellness space, just with the background and the work I've done. So you didn't really do your research. You just saw the first line of my bio, which said I'm a photographer, and you made the assumption that my show is just for photographers. Had you read the show description alone, you would have had more information. That takes just a few seconds. The amount of people that were pitching us content that we've never and would never run in our magazine was pretty significant. And it's not just a matter of semantics, like pitching us content that is fundamentally not something we've ever covered or would ever cover, or is not even of interest to our audience. So looking at the media outlet to suss out, well, what could I do for this media outlet? What value could I bring? And every media outlet is going to very clearly show what they care about and what they want to feature and what to profile by the content they are putting out. So if your content falls in alignment with that, or your ideas or your pitches fall in alignment with that, there's a higher chance of you getting picked up to share whatever it is you have to share. Now, I had titled this little live session, how to blow opportunities. And the reason was because we had so many individuals who we extended opportunities to. I said, okay, you want to be published with us? Here's an opportunity for you. We're going to do what other publications are not doing. You will not get assistance anywhere, but we're going to pave the road for you a little bit. We're just going to tell you how you can serve us, how you can serve our audience, how we can get you into our magazine or onto our podcast so that you are creating the content that our readers want. So you're positioned in the best possible light. Other magazines aren't going to do that. Other podcasts aren't going to do that. They just expect you to do that legwork. But we decided, you know what? Because of the event and because of the rebrand, we're going to help you on this. Here's ways that you can show up. Here are opportunities for you. Here are ways or means of which you can contribute content. You can write articles. You can get profiled. You can do features. We connected all the dots, except for the last thing, which is you showing up. And to be fair, a lot did, and they got amazing profiles and amazing features. But it was surprising how many said this is what they want. I want features. And we gave them the opportunity. Here's your chance for a feature. And we never heard back. And the assumption is they wanted a feature without doing any of the work. And that's a really difficult want to achieve. That carries with it the hubris that someone of a celebrity stature might have. And even then, we might not be knocking on that door. We legitimately had someone come to us saying they wanted a profile. I want a profile. I said, well, the best way to be considered is probably to attend our event so you know what we're about and what we're looking for. And the response is, well, I'm too busy for that. Okay. You're not selling yourself well so far. And then they hit us up again. I really want a feature. They were asking for a cover. I really want a cover. Well, once again, what are we talking about? What is the pitch? What's the angle? And we're trying to lay out opportunities for this person to properly pitch themselves, because none of this is a pitch. Saying I want this is not a pitch. That's just being petulant. And then they ultimately started coming back with demands. No, thank you. Sorry. We will not be paying you to be in our media outlet. Not something we're interested in. We tried to give you so many opportunities to properly position yourself and to pitch yourself. And then at some point you just decide, I want a paycheck out of this. You came to us. I understand that's very anecdotal, but the mentality is not isolated. We had an individual who, this was years ago, I was working for another media outlet, came to us and said, I want to be on the cover. And we weren't interested in him in a cover at that point, but we were down the road. We said, well, let's get him in for an interior feature first. So I came back and said, well, the cover's a no for now, and before I could finish to say we'd want to offer you another feature, he cut me off and said, what do you mean? Don't you realize what I can bring to your covers? And he lost his interior feature. I was never featured with that media outlet again. I was in New York, meeting with some photo directors of some publications up there, and I'm showing my book. And this photo director of a top publishing house oversaw, I think at the time, 3 or 4 different national titles. Came across a photo of someone in my portfolio. And he asked, do you still work with this person? I know this person. Do you still work with them? Now, unbeknownst to him, we had atrocious experiences with this person, completely burning bridges with every magazine we ever connected them to. So I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to throw this person under the bus. So I just went a very diplomatic route. And I said, well, I don't work with her as much as I used to. I left it at that. And he leaned back in his chair. He says, I effing hate this person. And I was like, wow. So you have a story. He says, yeah, we hired her on this one production, gave her the call time. She came to us, said she wanted a feature. We hired her for a feature, gave her the call times. like a day or two before the shoot, she came back and says, well, she's not available those times. She can only show up for half of the time. They says, well, we need you for the whole time. That's what we're doing. Like we have the whole crew coming out. So I can only do half the time. And so he says, well, then we're just going to replace you. And she says, no, I'll make it work. I'll do it. So she goes, and then she still leaves before they were ready. So the photo director says, every time her photo is up on our board for a potential cover, I just rip her photo right off the board. We have no interest in featuring this person ever again. And I had almost an identical experience with this individual with another media outlet we were trying to feature her in. The point is not to go down this kind of rabbit hole of crappy experiences. The point is to really reinforce that the media's role is not to be a publicity platform for you exclusively. The media understands the publicity benefit of what it can provide those that get featured, those that contribute. But that relationship needs to go both ways. You, as someone who's desiring media, need to bring something to the media that is of value to that media outlet and to their audience. And when you honor that, that's how you build an effective relationship. That's how you get media outlets coming back to you time and time again. That's how you turn small features into bigger features into enormous features. You become an asset. So I implore all of you, be an asset, not an ass. Once again, check out the new issue of Icon Refined. It is available. You can get a print issue. Go to iconrefined.com. We also have a variety of digital-only features available at iconrefined.com. Hope you check it out. Thank you so much for tuning in to this live show. We'll talk to you all soon. Take care, everyone.